Namaskar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be welcoming you back to this immersion into the Geeta Govinda. Today is the third and final day. Every day we have entered the Geeta Govinda via an Ashtapadi and looked at both reflections in poetry, philosophy, dance, and visual arts. Today will be no different. In the first 2 days, we focused on the Ashtapadis Dheere Samire and Kuru Yadunandana. Yahi Madhav. Today, we focus on Kuru Yadunandana, by far the highlight of Geeta Govinda. This is the last and final song, and it is also, in a way, the finale of Geeta Govinda. As always, we will begin with the introduction in poetry and then take it on to dance and visual arts. To talk about the literary significance of this work, particularly this Ashtapadi, we have with us, as we have had over the last 2 days, Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda. Retired Professor of Sanskrit from Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, he is currently Professor Emeritus at the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, a deemed university. Former member of the syndicate of the Sri Jagannath Sanskrit University of Puri, he is a highly accomplished scholar with many publications to his credit. He has also guided over 20 PhD scholars. A recipient of the Nalko Kalidas Award and the Sahitya Bhushan Award of Odisha, his special interest has been on Odisha's contribution to Sanskrit lyrics. This makes him a particularly ideal choice for this theme. And so, because I suspect that today we will have a lot more questions than we have had in the past, I will request Dr. Panda to take on immediately, and we welcome you, Dr. Panda. Thank you very much for the lovely addresses of the last 2 days, and today is the finale. We look forward to hearing you speak.
Meghir meduramambaram banabhuva shamasthamala drumai rnaktang bhirurayam tvameva tadimam radhe gruham prapaya ithang nandanide sataschalitayo pratyadvakunja drumam radha madhavayur jayanti jamuna kule rahah kelaya. This is today's Mangala Charana and the Mangala Charana of Jayadeva himself too. Jamuna kule rahah kelaya jayanti. Let the secret love of Radha and Madhava be victorious, be successful at the bank of river Jamuna, where cool breeze is blowing. So today is the Ashtapadi which we are going to deal with, is the real success story of both the hero and the heroine. As many have discussed earlier, who is the central character of this poem? It is the opinion of Pandits that Radha Madhava both are the same to same participants in the whole game. But the name of Radha is given priority in this conjoined word, Radha Madhava. So it's a very pleasant ending of the Kavya in the 24th Ashtapadi, which is the matter of discussion of ours. Here, Radha is depicted as Swadhina Bhartrika or Swadhina Patika. Who is a Swadhina Patika? In the Natya Shastra, Bharata Muni defines it. Suratadi raser baddho jasya parshagata priya samode guna sanjukta bhavet Swadhina Bhartruka. Swadhina Bhartruka is that type of heroine or naika who keeps his hero or pati or lover in total subjugation. And that has happened at the end in this 24th Ashtapadi. Suratati Rasirvadha. So being pleased by the erotic dalliances, tactfulness and techniques. Jasyaha Parshagata Priya, to whose place comes the Priya or the lover or the husband or the paramour. Samode Guna Sanjukta, he will be presenting herself in a very pleasant manner with smiles over his face, and very mirthful presentation of herself is found in the kavyas and in paintings too. Even like this, the Swadhina Bhartruka, or the heroine who's under subjugation, the hero remains, has been described in this canto also. Radha is described as a Swadhina Bhartruka. Now let us go to the Ashtapadis and the verses itself. Kuru Yadunandana Sisiratarena Karena Chandana Sisiratarena Karena Payodhare. It is in Ramakiri Raga. The Jadunandana is Krishna. Why he is Jadunandana? Because he happens to be taken his birth in the clan of the Jadus. Therefore, Nandana means is a pleasant one. He gives pleasure to his family, his clan, by whose name the whole clan is glorified. Therefore, he is Jadunatha, or the master of the Jadu clan. Here, he is Jadunandana, who provides pleasure to his clan. That is the word by which he will be more pleased, Radha considers. Kuru Yadunandana Chandana Sisira Tarena Karena Payodhare. O son of the, or the scion of the Jadus, with your hands cooler than the sandal balm or sandal paste, decorate my breast with deer musk that look like the ritual vessel of the Kamadeva. Manobhava Mangala Kalasa Sahodare. Manobhava is Kamadeva, or the god of love, that is Cupid. Mangala Charanam, wherever is made, two kalasas are placed at the gateway, at the door. So Radha herself tells, by your sandal cold hands, you draw the Patravali, the art of Patravali. Patravali means in ancient India, women were decorated and prepared and for the festive occasions by this anointment, making Patravali, or the figure of patras or leaves, on their breasts. We also know that in Ravana Kruta Shiva Tandava, Dhara Dharendra Nandini Kuchagra Chitra Patraka Prakalpanaika Stelpini Digambare Matir Mama. So that was a phenomenal thing. Mrugamada Patraka Atra Manobhava Mangala Kalasa Sahodare. To her breast, she compares with the Mangala Kalasa of Kamadev. Nijagadasa Jadunandane Kridati Hrudayanandane. Sa Jadunandane Jagada. Jagada Gadhatu ho lit pratyat Jagada Sabda Siddhyat. So Gad means to speak. Nijagada Sa Jadunandane. He spoke to Jadunandana or Krishna. Which type of Krishna is he? Na Kridati Hrudayanandane. Who takes pleasure out of, which takes pleasure of the heart of Radha. Or Radha herself also is very much satisfied with Krishna by his presentations, by his dalliances. Therefore, Nijaga dasa jadu nandane kridati hrudaya nandane hrudasya anandanam api karoti ityasmat karanat soyang hrudaya nandana. Alikula ganjanakam. So that is in English. Nijaga dasa. So spoke she to Krishna, the scion of the Jadus, who delightfully played to entertain her heart. So I think it is now intelligible to all. Next we shall proceed to the next verse, the verse number 2. Alikula ganjanakam ratinayaka Alikula ganjanakam manjanakam ratinayaka sayaka mochanem Alikula ganjana manjanakam rati Nayaka sayaka mochane Twadadhara chumbana lambita kajwala mujwalaya priya lochane. Hey Priya, oh darling, oh loved one, mama lochane kajwalam ujwalaya. In my eyes, please make the collyriums or coal more bright, because by your kissing, the color of the collyrium has been faded, so that Alikulagan Kimbutam Manjanakam, what type of anjana or the collyrium you will put on my eyes? Alikulaganjanam, in color, that collyrium which defeats the mass of the bees, the mass of the bumblebee. And Ratin Nayaka Sayaka Mochane. This is the adjective of lochana, or the eyes. Those eyes which are more attractive, more powerful than the arrow of Kamadeva himself. Ratinayaka sayaka mocha. Tadadhara chumbana lambita kajwala. Kajwala, this is the adjective of kajwala. By your placing of the lips, it has been weakened, it has been faded. So make it more luxurious, make it more dazzling. The translation is like this. Oh dear one, with coal blacker than the bumblebees, paint my eyes again, which are like arrows of love and have lost their core because of your constant kissing. So spoke he to Krishna, who delightfully played the entertain her heart. So it is all right. I have explained on the difficult words. Nanakuranga taranga vikasa nirasa kare. Like we are going to the 6th verse. Mama ruchire chikure kurumanada manasa jadvaja chamare rati galite lalite kusumani sikhanda kadamare. Manada, another invocation or address is made to Krishna by this word Manada, who is always careful in providing manner or respect to others. Even to Radha, he deals most respectfully or honorifically. Therefore, he Manada, Manasija Dhwaja Chamare, Mama Ruchire, Chikure Kuru. A low respectful man to all, particularly the women. Jatra narjastu pujjante ramante tatra devata. So, Mama ruchire chikure. Chikura means hairs or the top of hair. Mama ruchire chukure, in most beautiful top of hair of mine. What you have to do? Na. Chikura again has an adjective. Manasaja dhwaja chamare. Manasaja nama kandarpa. Kandarpasya dhwaja pataka, the flag mast. There is in flag mast chamaras or the chauris are attached at times. Therefore, Manasija dhwaja chamare. Manasija nama kandarpa. Cupid. In the Cupid, like in the pataka or dhwaja, the flag of Cupid, which are very interesting or very beautiful, like the charmer of the Kandarpa in his flag, this tuft of hair should be dressed regularly. Rati galite lalite kusumani sikhandi sikhanda kadamare. Why it is needed? Why again it's is required to be put properly? Because rati galite lalite, rati avasthayam galitam, it has been scattered, it has been disheveled. The original preparation of the hairstyle has been destroyed. So that has also another adjective, sikhandi sikhanda kadamare, which ridicules the plumage of the peacocks in its beauty. That, oh Manada, you need to fix the flowers at this top hair in the most decent manner. I at least hope it for you from you. On O Krishna, with delicate bright flowers, decorate my gleaming hair that loosened in the love game, flies like loves and bumblebees, like love's ensigns, defies the glory of peacock plume. So spoke Sri Krishna, who is delightfully played to entertain her heart. So the next one is the 7th verse, which reads like, सरस घने जघने मम सरस घने जघने मम संबर दारण बाण कंदरे संबर दारण बारण कंदरे संबर दारण बारण कंदरे is the adjective of जघने सरस घने जघने मम संबर बारण कंदरे मणिरसना बसना भरणानि Subhasaya Vasaya Sundare. Another invocation is Subhasaya for Krishna she uses. So Radha is so pleased. He uses new invocations for Krishna, Subhasaya, who is very kind, who is very benevolent, who is very pleasing, Subhasaya. Subham Asayam Jasya, Subhasaya, a good-willed person. Mama sarasa ghane jaghane, jaghana means the uru or the thighs, or on the nitambas or the loins. Mama sambara varana dharane, sambara dharana sambara nama sambarasura tasya dharana. Arthat one who has killed sambarasura is Kamadeva or Kandarpa or the Cupid. So Sambara Dharana is Cupid tasya, tadvidasya varanasya, tadvidasya gajasya. That means the elephant in the shape of the killer of the Sambara. That means those Jaghana or the thighs whose residence or whose caves are of the Cupid. So the very exclusive parts of the woman are that is called as Rati Mandira or Kama Mandira. So Sambara Bharana Kandare Sarastagane Jagane. Manirasana Basana Bharanani Subhasaya Basaya Sundare. Then Ebang Bhute Sundare. Sundara is also the another adjective of Jagana. Ebang Bhute Stale. In this Jagana, Manirasana Basana Bharanani Basaya. Basaya Arthat Aropaya Stapaya. That means you make me again redressed with all these beautiful arrangements so that it will be more befitting for my beauty and for my personality, and it will also indicate how much do you love me. From the artistry you will display in again anointing me and making me redressed. So thank you. I think I have taken my time perhaps.
Thank you very much, Dr. Panda. Very interesting to hear you describe the value of each word, literally, in so many of the padas. Now, this program is actually a collaborative one between the India Habitat Center, Cree Foundation, and ArtVision, and has been mounted to celebrate 25 years of ArtVision. ArtVision is an organization set up in Bhubaneswar by Dr. Ileana Citaristi, the eminent dancer, Padma Shri recipient, and also the recipient of the National Award for Films for her choreography for the film Yuganta. Ileana made India her home from 1979 and has been trained not just in Odissi, but also in Chau. She has written extensively on Odishan culture, on her guru. In fact, her biography on the guru is one distinctive biography, the only one of its kind, The Making of a Guru, Kelucharan Mahapatra, His Life and Times. She has also written on the martial arts practices of Odisha and has written a very interesting biography. It's called My Journey, A Tale of Two Births. Her work is marked by a sort of sense of respect of the traditional, all that she learned originally from Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra, but she has also used her own creativity to take further through new choreographies by embracing new ideas, spiritual and real. In fact, she's taken on some rather daring ideas as well, for which she has been noticed and appreciated in more ways than one. Together, we have been working on promoting dance and the camera, which is all about dance films. So our association and friendship goes back now many years. It is my privilege now to invite her to speak on the Ashtapadi that she will be doing, put a little context to it, and then perform it. The Ashtapadi is this Kuru Yadunandana. I noticed that some of you have begun messaging me, so I just want to tell you the chat is open for your questions. Please put your questions there. At the end, we will bring up all these questions. We have a very interesting ending today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ileana Citaristi.
Hello, everybody, and thanks again, Arshiya. Well, we have reached the third day with this beautiful song, the climax of the story. So regarding this, I have actually two versions of how it came to be. And since I think I am keeping both of them, from Sonal Mansingh, for whom Guruji composed this Ashtapadi in 1967 when she was here in Qatar. She had started to learn from him in 65 when she came as a daughter-in-law, Sonal Mansingh, Lalit Mansingh wife, and my other Mansingh daughter-in-law. So whatever her version is, that it was her father-in-law who asked Guruji to teach this mature Abhinaya to her, since she was no more a child and she was a mature lady, and so she shouldn't just learn a few songs here and there. She should learn this one. And Guruji was shy, and it seems he was in the beginning he was reticent a little bit and a little bit shy, a little bit reluctant to do it, and then Mother Mansingh convinced him. But very interestingly, when I was writing the book on Guruji, I had asked, he gave me another version, and he told me that the opposite. He said that he decided to teach this song, and in fact, and my other Mansingh was a little bit perplexed about this choice, and he convinced himself only after he came and saw the composition. And he was totally convinced that it was sublime, and there was no vulgarity, there was no eroticism which could damage or the reputation or anything, and he was totally taken by the aesthetic value and of the composition. So unfortunately, when I heard later on Sonalji version, Guruji was no more already. He had passed away, so I could not go back to him and just ask him which is the actual truth. So I kept both the version. But it's interesting to know that when Sonalji performed this for the first time in Madras, in a series of performance that she was invited to perform in the various Sabha, and in the first one in the Museum Theatre in the February 69, Rukmini Devi was also present to this performance. And as I was mentioning that during the seminar in Delhi on Jayadeva Geeta Govinda, Rukmini Devi had given some adverse comment on the fact that Geeta Govinda should not be part of the curriculum of young girls in classical dance. But this time, it seems by February 69, by seeing this particular Ashtapadi, which is the most daring one, is she was completely convinced, and she didn't have any objection anymore. So this is what, another interesting thing is that when Guruji used to teach us certain details of this Abhinaya, he used to call some of us apart. Some of us means the married students and also the foreign one. And to give certain explanation of the detail, like for example, when he said, I still remember that why the decoration should be is the creepers of sandal paste on the chest, because creepers gives more time in decorating and will give more pleasure. I mean, the decoration is more. Is give more time in composing it, so the pleasure is more. So so all these things he was telling to us. And again, as we had already discussed during these days, that Geeta Govinda from the very beginning, especially in the 50s and 60s, was not an easy choice to choose for a guru and to choose with this young girl, which actually in those years, the girls were really young in the 50s, 60s. And then, of course, slowly that more adult students came to learn Odissi. So, so now I'm presenting the version which I've learned from Guruji, and it is in Mishra Kafi Raga and Tala, Jyoti Tala. So, Kuru Yadunandana, please, the video can start.
पयोधरे कुरु यदुनन्दन चन्दन शिशिर तरेण करेण पयोधरे कुरु यदुनन्दन चन्दन शिशिर तरेण करेण पयोधरे कुरु यदुनन्दन चन्दन शिशिर तरेण गलिते ललिते कुसुमानि रति गलिते ललिते कुसुमानि रति गलिते ललिते कुसुमानि रति गलिते
Thank you very much, Ileana, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you also for sharing such interesting details of how Guruji viewed this choreography, uh, particularly about how he talked to you and the other married dancers separately to give you the details. This is really interesting. And it reminds me, even if it means I'm deviating for a moment, that when I was learning ballroom dancing and Latin dancing, my Western dance teacher also took me and some senior people aside to do a special choreography of the merengue because he said he didn't want to get into trouble by trying to teach the young girls and the young boys these pelvic to pelvic movements and things like that. So you should feel it's a universal problem. Every time I see this Ashtapadi being danced, I always feel delighted as a feminist. It also surprises me that it actually captures that moment of fana, this complete destruction of the self, and then the resurrection, a little bit of Radha asking back for her Radhitva. So she describes herself and asks back for herself to be herself. So I find this really interesting. I'm also surprised that somebody with the vision of Rukmini Devi ji felt that maybe it should not be taught fearing the obscenity level. I think that this poem at any point of time can clear the Hicklin test, which is a test that is used in law to help judge obscenity via the effect of isolated passages upon the most susceptible, particularly when you experience this poem and this particular Ashtapadi via dance, because then it is a poetic thought that has been captured in poetic words, that has been put to beautiful music, that is moved in this Drishya Kavya manner, that is illustrated through this Drishya Kavya manner. So it actually is many times distilled. And so I think that anybody who looks upon this and says obscene is missing the point completely. We have some questions that have come up, but we will take up these questions in the end. As in the end, I will call upon Dr. Professor Priyambada Mohanty Hejmadi, a pioneer of Odissi, to talk and add to what Ileana has already told us about this wonderful process of choreography of the Geeta Govinda that we witnessed in our times. And now it is time to bring on the visual arts segment. And to present that, I will request Dr. Alka Pande, art historian and professor, which accounts for the very patient way in which she leads us into the idea, who has an enduring interest in gender identity and sexuality in traditional arts, particularly arts of India, a recipient of the Charles Wallace Fellowship, the Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters, an honor given by the French government. She was also recognized for her lifelong contribution by the Australian Indian Council. And in 2015, she became a recipient of the Amrita Shergill Samman, which is presented by the Lalit Kala Academy of Chandigarh. She is a prolific writer and has written extensively on many issues around the arts and intersections with each other. She is an internationally renowned curator and has been the artistic director of many prestigious events, including the Photography Biennale by Habitat, and is the project director of the first ever Museum Biennale held in India, which was the Bihar Museum Biennale. She is a consultant, art advisor, and curator for the Visual Arts Gallery of the India Habitat Center. And I would go to the extent of saying that she has single-handedly made the India Habitat Center such an important center for visual arts. I request you, Alka, to present the last in the series of your visual arts immersion into the Geeta Govinda.
Namaskar. Today is our concluding day of the 3-day celebration of the Geeta Govinda. I'm really happy to have collaborated with ArtVision and Ileana Citaristi and the Cree Foundation and Dr Arshiya Sethi. Ileana has been dancing the Ashtapadis. Arshiya has been stringing the whole program together. And as I said on the first day, like a Ragamalika, and she's done it beautifully. And I'm really grateful to both my friends for that. And Dr. Panda, who has been providing the philosophical inputs and his own interpretation of the Geeta Govinda. So to celebrate the Geeta Govinda in dance, thought, philosophy, and the arts has been beautiful for all of us who are participating in this program. Bhakti, gratitude, and a complete devotion to whoever you believe in is an unusual experience. And I'm sure all of us are experiencing and enjoying the sheer beauty and the shringar of the beautiful Geeta Govinda. And what could be a better way to conclude than with an ecstatic Krishna with the 24th song of the Geeta Govinda, which is, let me just put it for you in the way that I have looked at it. Kuru Yadunandana, Chandana Shishira, Tarane Karane Payodhare. So we are going to now look at the Kuru Yadunandana, or the ecstatic Krishna, again through the miniature language of the innumerable artists who have also celebrated the Geeta Govinda. I begin, as always, with a Patachitra done by Rabindranath Sahu, where the Geeta Govinda is again being celebrated, and Radha and Krishna are sitting together in a very close Alingan. What we see here is that how poetry really celebrates and talks of expressions and the rasa in different stylized ways and goes beyond the limits of ordinary language. Here is a Rajasthani painting where the passion of Radha and Krishna is transformed into an erotic mood when the poet distills the qualities of absolute enjoyment of vilas, of joy, of pleasure, and passion is made palpable through the sensuous depictions of movements and physical forms, as you see in this wonderful representation of Radha and Krishna in a beautiful sacred forest of enchantment. Here is a Kangra painting where you see here the Yadav hero putting his hand on the breasts of Radha, where she says, paint a leaf designed with deer musk here on love's ritual vessel. And she told the joyful Yadu hero, playing to delight in her heart. Beautiful representation of the Ashtapadi. This is a beautiful art from Kerala, from the mural art of the Kerala muralists. Highly stylized, where there is gold, yellow, and the brilliant peacock colors in this beautiful embrace of Radha and Krishna in a typical style of the muralists of Kerala. Going back to the Patachitras again, we see again Radha and Krishna in a very close sensual enfolding of each other. The delicate, sublime, almost pure paintings of the Kangra Kalam, where each brushstroke is so delicate, and we again see a different Alingan of Radha and Krishna, the ecstatic Krishna. Going back, as I said, even on the first day, I love these going and interplay of different schools, and to see how each artist represents the same emotion, the same Ashtapadi in different ways. And here we see the vibrancy of the Patachitras and a different kind of sitting or the enfolding of Radha and Krishna. The Kangra painting again, beautiful. You know, there is no, even though Radha is completely naked in her representation by the artist, yet there is absolutely no commodification of the image of Radha which is painted. And what you see, Krishna, who's looking adoringly at her, there is such a purity of gaze, of affection, of love, which flows between Radha and Krishna. Fix flowers and shining hair loosened by love play, Krishna. Make of fly whisk outshining peacock plumage to be the banner of love. She told the joyful Yadu hero, playing to delight in her heart. Again, the vibrant Patachitra, where a joyous Krishna is almost a supplicant to the beautiful, powerful Radha, who has been taken to another level by Jayadeva himself. There is empowerment. There is a kind of a adoration of the woman by the Yadu hero, Krishna himself. And in this beautiful Basholi painting, we see how Krishna is not at all, affected by the fact that he's supplicating to a beautiful Radha, and is actually lifting her beautiful foot to look at it with absolute adoration. So I hope you've enjoyed all the 3 days as much as we, all of us, whether it is Ileana, Arshiya, Dr. Panda, or me, we have been in each way, in our own ways, celebrating the love, longing, desire, separation, and the final coming together of the lovers, the divine lovers, Radha and Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Pande. This has been a fascinating treat to watch so many types of miniature forms, Patachitra, but all sticking to the theme of Geet Govind, particularly Kuru Yadunandana. One of the last shots that you had of the Basholi school, where Krishna is painting Radha's feet, that moment has been captured in some of the most exquisite works. I have a sari, it's a Balucheri sari, which has that image woven into it. So really, from the quotidian to the absolutely elegant and high art, you find Radha and Krishna in the spirit of Geet Govind always intact. So thank you so much for ending it on that image. I had wanted to say this earlier also, that you just have to look around and you will see Geet Govind reflected in the arts of India in so many ways. So today we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Priyambada Mohanty Hejmadi, a pioneer in Odissi. In fact, if I were to tell you a little bit about her, I think the best thing I can do is that she was the first dancer who danced Odissi on a national stage. That was the Inter-University Youth Festival, the first of its kind in 1954. At that time, the dance did not even have a name. So although she did win an award in the classical dance category, the certificate did not give the dance a name. It just said Odia. So these are some of the funny stories of a time where she was carrying things forward. We had wanted her to speak yesterday, and she had just got up at that time and left. But today we have her with us. She has been with us throughout, and I will be inviting her to speak as well as asking some of the questions that people have yeah. So Priyambada ji, should we just begin with you, because you had said that you tire easily, so we will not put so much pressure on you.
Can you hear
Welcome.
me? Can you
Yes,
hear
thank
me?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, let me congratulate you, Arshiya, for organizing this, coordinating this beautiful
Three of us did.
event. I'm coming to that. My dear, have patience. She's my elder daughter, Arshiya's mother competed with me in the first Inter-University Youth Festival. Tripat represented Patna University, danced Kathak, and I represented Utkal University and danced Odissi, which nobody had heard about. But the appreciation was so much that they gave me a certificate, third prize. And as Arshiya said, the classical dance category was actually blank, the first one. The third one I won, they wrote Odia, although there was no such thing. Anyway, then I am very, very happy to see Dr. Panda after a long period, because he and I, we belong to the same university. And Dr. Panda, I'm so happy to hear you and expand on Geeta Govinda, representing such an art form and in such a lucid manner, all the things. And frankly, you explained so many things which are very, very useful to all of us.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Ileana, of course.
Bless you.
Congratulations, Ileana. First of all, congratulations for completing 25 years of ArtVision.
Thank you.
All the best to you and your group. And you have done a wonderful thing by depicting and, serving us Abhinay of 3 of the best known Geeta Govinda pieces choreographed by Kuru sir. Well, let me start from the beginning. I'll divide, Arshiya, is the limit of time? I'll divide Odyssey into 3 phases: the ancient, the medieval, and the recent. In the ancient days, when I was dancing, this actually started with the theater. Theater people had dance, and you'll be happy to know that the doyen of Odissi music, dance, and theater, Kalicharan Patnaik, had a full-length theater on Jayadeva. And this was in reaction to the fact that many people claimed that Jayadeva is not from Odisha. So as a reaction, he wrote this drama, and it was a hit, completed 100 days or so. And in those days, microphones were not there. So in order to be an actor or actress, you have to have a booming voice. So Durlabh Charan Singh was Jayadeva. You might have seen him in the Pradakshina, which he was a guru, Kelucharan Sar's guru also. And then Sumati Devi, a brilliant singer, was Krishna, because she would come and write that Nakurunitam, and those pieces Krishna wrote, thing. And actually Kelu sir told me that Kalibabu had constructed the Kali Ghat Dwara of Jagannath temple, Kali Ghati Dwara, and had Bidu, who is the mother of Jayadeva, the light man who is no more, do a little piece, a Mahari piece in there, to have the temple atmosphere and attaching temple, Jagannath temple to Geeta Govinda and all that. But then I'll come to the medieval stage. We were dancing, we were learning some dance. In those days, what we see as Odissi today was really being done by the Gotikuas. And the leading guru for all these dances, who also choreographed all the dances in the Kalibabu theater, And he was mainly the guru of gurus of the Maharis also, Mohan Mahapatra. Unfortunately, when I wrote my book on Odissi, I really tried to get a lot of information. I've seen him in my childhood, but very little information is available on that, and only one photograph from Dhiren Patnaik's book. And all the percussions, tala and no even takati, all the things you have today in Odissi Ripochuar were done by Singhari Samsundarkar, who is a servitor in Jagannath temple in charge of the Singhara. He does Bada Singhara base. He was a great musician of our, in our tradition. So what happened is Lalita Lavangalata was sung by Maharis. But we Odiyas don't pronounce it right. We used to say, they used to sing like Lalita Lavangalata, Parisidana, Kamala Madhura Samire, like that. No accent of Sanskrit was there. Question didn't arise. It was just a very common thing to do. And what happened is, when I danced, and 2 times I took prizes in youth festival, the purists were not happy that Odissi is being considered as a classical dance. Though they finally, through the last, question at us, they questioned our integrity and our depth. They said, but Odissi is just a 10-15 minute thing. You don't have a full-fledged dance to fit into the classical dance category. So Dr. Charles Fabry told me, Dr. Charles Fabry fortunately was a great friend of Mahadan Mansingh, whose Kuru Yadunandana thing his name came up. And he said, Mansingh, you have to see that Priyambada comes and give a full evening program. And this was arranged. Little theatre group in the Laldas was kind enough to invite. And then started the expansion of Odissi. Until then, it was 10-15 minutes thing. I used to start with, Nama Ganesha Vignesa or something which will be sung by somebody, and I'll be standing straight. No abhinaya for the Mangalacharam. Then Pattu and all, everything strung together, flowed into one another into a fast pace. And the abhinaya piece was also there. And Kali Babu really introduced abhinaya piece in between. So when this had to be expanded to more than an hour, what do? We already had a Pallavi which I had danced there in Delhi. 2 Pallavis had developed. We had loaned them from the Gotipuas and expanded them. And then came the Abhinayas. Mansingh said that we have to have the traditional songs from 3 great Odia poets, Vaishnavite poets, Kabishurja, Gopal Krishna, and Gopal Krishna Kabiniala was the third one. Kabishurja, Gopal Krishna. Banmali. Yes.
Banmali does.
Banmali is the soul of all. Anyway, so I had 3 songs, and then Lalita Labangalata was in circulation as a singing part, not dance. When this had to be choreographed, this had to be explained. Kedu sir was with me for this. And at that time, Dr. Mansingh was involved. He was directing the Gyanakosa, the encyclopedia of Odia was being written at that time. He was the head. And Pandit Banamar Acharya, Raghunath Babu must know him, he was working with him. So Banamar Babu, then Mansingh chose 2 more songs for me. And one was Pashyati Disi Disi, and the other was Yami Hekam Yasharanam. So Banamar Babu will come and we'll start. I'll tell you this, Arshiya has heard me present this in Central Sangeet Natak Academy. When Lalita Labangalata came in, it is an exercise in botany, because Jayadeva has described so many flowers. And we are, from Gotik was, we had inherited just 2 or 3, like this and like this, big flower. But then Panavar Babu had to explain how each flower looks like. Then by that time, I must say another historic event, that Madhar Raut and Sanjukta had been trained by Rukmini Devi Arundel in Kalakshetra. And when Madhar Raut came, he introduced the mudra concept. He started teaching we had no idea, we were having just few things. And Dhiren Patnaik also translated the Abhinaya Darpana. So the mudras and all were available in Oriya also. So at that time, Kelusar also consulted Madhar Raut and all. For each flower, this mudra was fixed, and then Lalita Labanga Lata was done. Then again, the other two, Yami Kamesharanam, had to be explained to Kelusar. You are talking about Kuru Yadunandana, which is almost at the end of his composition. Yami Kamesharan, all these feelings had to be explained, and I was feeling embarrassed because Vanavarava was feeling embarrassed because until that time this free, sort of communication was not there about it, the things Jayadeva is talking about, the romance of it. And then Pashyat Disi became a hit actually much later. And Dr. Mansingh said that when you dance, people should appreciate our literature. Therefore, he translated each of the poem into English. Later on, I have tried to get some songs like Badila Jani Khema, etc. Translated. All these English professors have told me that only Mansingh could translate Oriya poetry into English poetry. Nobody else can, so don't ask us to do it. So all these, he translated for me. This was printed in the brochure for the Little Theatre Group program of mine. I printed them in the book I wrote in 2007. And Rama Navanathan, who reviewed that, well, she has given a lot of compliments, but she said that this translation is a very important part because Jayadeva's Geeta Govinda translation is there. And since Geeta Govinda is pan-Indian, this will also help the others, schools of dance. So this was extended, and another Pallavi was composed, Balakrishna Babu came. So I could give a 1 hour, 15 minutes program. Later on, more and more things came into Odissi. This is then the medieval period. And more, another important thing happened is that by that time, our gurus were in great demand. First, Devasar went with Indrani. Then Pankaj sir went to Yamini Krishnamurti. The last one to go out of Odisha was Kelucharan Mahapatra. And he conquered the world, I would say. Odissi Ileana, you'll agree with me, I'm sure. Ileana is the product of that. Anyway, international figure. And they had also, got the either high, they may not be highly educated, but they're extremely perceptive. And they could pick up things, a few things, which they started using in our choreography, not necessarily violating anything, but making it more richer and more very, very introduced.
We are losing you again, Priyambada ji, and since we are on a short time thing, if you don't mind, I would like to move to the question that somebody has asked, which Ileana I have already told you. It's about the musicality of the composition, because it's so important for such choreography and for such poetry to have equally rich music. That's the point.
Yeah. So I would like to mention that in the original manuscript by Jayadeva, there are mentioned the raga in which each Ashtapadi should be composed, and there are a total of 11 ragas mentioned. But for various reasons, one of which is also that many of these raga, which were belonging to the Odissi music Padati, the Odissi style of music, has been the knowledge of these ragas has been lost along the century, unfortunately, and so most. Hindustani raga has been adopted at the time when the Odissi dance was revived in the 60s and 70s when this composition was done. The choice of the ragas more than it was more dictated by the melodies and emotional content which would suit that particular Ashtapadi more than by the desire to be strictly following the indication of Jayadeva. So there is now actually a revival of by some scholar, by some Odissi musicians and composer and Odissi music scholars to recover and to through the text which are available of the medieval period to recover the actually the ragas according to the indication of the Jayadev. But whatever we learned, it was composed mostly by Pandit Bhuvaneshwar Mishra, which who was collaborated with the Guru Kuluchara Mohapatra in such a way that they were actually two face of the same venture. So they couldn't one could not couldn't be without the other because they were actually the music was a component of the dance and dance was a component of music, and both the things were coming up together. So and they had these beautiful years of collaboration between them. So not only the Abhinaya but also the Nritta items were always composed in tandem between both of them. And so in particular I wanted to use I wanted.
May I request you to please keep your mic off? Anji, Ileana, carry on.
So in particular, I wanted to use to present this composition, which you have seen recorded, which I recorded a few months ago, with the original music track on which Guruji actually has, with which Guruji has taught us, and they are all belonging to a recording which was done in the early 80s by this Parvati Brahmachari, who was a singer, a Bengali singer who was working in Delhi with, especially with Madhavi Mudgal. And so it's all the action goes very much, they were built up and were molded according to the variation of the melody. So that compositions were just following exactly the flow of the melody which was rendered in this music track. So it's very important. It was very important for me to keep this original music tracks. And later on, of course, has been the same with the same raga. Other singers have sang and all these things. But these are, first of all, the Pakwajas by Tiruchirappalli Mohapatra. So it's very near to me, the recording, and the music is the one which actually Guruji used while teaching us. So all the details of the music are exactly represented in the Abhinaya which he taught us. So I hope I have answered to the question.
Yes, thank you very much. It's interesting that in every form that we danced it traditionally, which Manipuri and Ashtapadiyattam comes to mind from Kerala, but even when it was taken up by Kathak and all that, they were able to keep the musicality as rich, and that's really the you cannot have weak music to go with such rich poetry. Everything has to be of that level. Even for the dancing, it has to be of that level. So I have one other question that I would like to ask Dr. Panda. This, I think, would be of great interest to you, which is a little bit about the tradition of erotic kavya in Sanskrit and any of the ancient languages of India, like Prakrit. I have not just Geeta Govinda in mind, but some of the erotic verses of Kalidas, Gatha, Hala's Gatha Saptasati. If you could talk a little bit about that tradition. You
Voice.
need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Are you
So
talking
in
to me?
Sanskrit literature, it has been taken for granted that among the 8 or 9 rasas, Sringara or erotics is the principal sentiment. So it generates the feeling of the erotics in the heart, which lasts much longer in comparison to all other sentiments. Therefore, Sringara eva madhura para pralhadanu rasa tanmayam kavyam asritya madhuram abhibhasate. You know, in Dhunyaloka says that Sringara eva madhura para pralhadana rasa. That means para means best, srestha. The Sringara is the most important and most entertaining and at the same time most captivating of all the rasas or sentiments. Therefore, it has been chosen in a Mahakavya also. Eka eva bhabe dangi Sringara bira eva. In the dramas or Nataka Lakshana it has been told. Mahakavya says Sringara Bira Santanang Ekungi Rasa Ishyate. That means Sringara, Bira or heroic, and at the same time the Sama or the peacefulness of mind. These 3 things can be the principal sentiment in a Mahakavya. Therefore, in all types of kavyas, almost we see the exposition of Sringara to a large extent. And Meghaduta, if you go to works of Kalidasa and Rutu Sanghara, particularly in Rutu Sanghara, that is the collection of the description of the 6 seasons of the year. In all these seasons, how the Naika or the heroine and the hero or the man and the woman behave in their erotic behavior has been depicted in all details. I had earlier told you that Kalidasa, even if Shiva and Parvati are regarded as deities like our parents, they have been, their activities in Canto 8 has been described with much Sringara or erotics. So, in Kalidasa's one line I'm remembering, Madhye Syama Stana Iva Bhuva Sesa Vistara Pandu. It is the description of the cloud when it proceeds to the Amrakuta mountain. The Amrakuta mountain is covered by fabulous growth of mango trees, and in the month of Asada, the mango fruits are in a ripe condition, resembling the white round shape of the breast of the earth. He says, Madhya Syama, and as the central portion of the breast becomes a comparatively deeper color, similarly, this ambra or the expansion of the mango trees become very much resembling to the breast of the earth in the shape of the mountain, and Megha remains there as the tip of the breast in the being placed on the mango groves. Therefore, Kalidas, for example, I told you another line of Kalidas in Meghaduta is Gyata Swada Vibruta Jaganang Ko Vihatum Samartha. Arthat, one who has tested the enjoyment of sexuality or sexual union can hardly leave the beauty that river Nirvindhya represented. And poet says that Megha will never leave the attraction of Nirvindhya river and will be very close to the waters of Nirvindhya. So at many places we see, most of the poets are used like that.
Thank you very much for this interesting explanation in comparing the erotic in Kalidas's writings, which compares a lot with the more earthly descriptions of Geet Govind. We have Priyambada ji back again. Priyambada ji, if you can hear me, if you would like to just conclude what you were saying. Oh God, again, we don't hear. We don't see. Hello, Priyambada ji. Yeah. Do you hear me? No. Okay, we do see her, but I think we'll have to close it.
Talking to
I
me?
would like,
Okay, are you talking to me?
yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, now I hear you. Yes.
Okay, if you'd like to conclude what you were saying, which sort of ended when you just
Yes.
fell off the grid. Yeah.
what I was saying is that the translations were done by Mansingh. And this Kuru Yadunandana, as I know, was a very, very historic event because Mansingh would sit and explain.
Okay, I don't see this working out. So I think instead of delaying and trying again anymore, I want to share with you two points that emerged out of the research that I did while.
Then he convinced him that there's nothing vulgar in it, and these are things because everything had to be explained to Kelu sir. Like what Banabharacharya did for me, every word had to be explained to him, what it means, and the feeling. And then Kelu sir will compose, and Sonal really excels in this because.
Priyambada ji, I think we are having real bad luck with this. Maybe we will have this conversation another time. And in the interest of a smooth movement of today's
Priyambada
program,
Mohanty Hejmadi
please permit
Round
me
table price.
to close this by sharing two very interesting points. One is that we have a set of stamps that have been brought out on the Geet Govind. And interestingly, those stamps don't pick up any of these Ashtapadis that we discussed. The stamps are 11 in number. It's a set of 11 stamps. The first stamp is that of Jayadeva, and the remaining 10 stamps of the Dashavatar. So was it an embarrassed Posts and Telegraph or Philately Department which did not want to use the beauty of the Ashtapadis and preferred to go with the Dashavatar for remaining sanitized and careful about not coming across as too erotic? I don't know. I would suspect that that is why we have 11 stamps, which is a very large number of stamps, but they are not about the Ashtapadis. They are about the Dashavatar. The second thing I want to tell you is that who is Jayadeva? Is he the man who could visualize this poetic universe of Geet Govind? Or is he the man who we find reflected in the Guru Granth Sahib? A man who does not talk about earthly links at all. He is so detached, so spiritual, totally nirgun in his poetic writing, which is contained in the Guru Granth Sahib. There are two such shabads in the Guru Granth Sahib. Someday do try and read them. It will make a very interesting contrast. Is this the same person who could give us the brilliance of Geet Govind and also give us the detachment of the Guru Granth Sahib that Bhakt Jayadev writes there? Thank you very much for your participation over these 3 days. Yes, Ileana, you want to say something?
Of Padmavati, maybe the importance of Padmavati, because it seems that he was an ascetic person, but Padmavati made the magic and inspired. Yeah.
So then maybe feminists and us should delight again that women have tremendous power.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us over these 3 days. I'd like to thank our 3 key speakers, Dr. Alka Pande, Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda, and Dr. Ileana Citaristi. This is your program, really. I have no business thanking you. I take this opportunity to thank all of you who asked us questions, and Professor Priyambada Mohanty Hejmadi for sharing the insights of a very rich life in which she saw many things happen, so rich that she needs to divide her life into ancient, medieval, and recent times. Very fascinating division. Thank you. I'd like to take this moment also to thank the staff, particularly Shushant, Saurabh, Rashmi, all the others at the India Habitat Center who made this happen so smoothly. In India, we still have a very strong digital divide, so sometimes it doesn't run as smoothly as you would want it to, but all the efforts were made, all the efforts were in place. You know that we had a live streaming on the Facebook page of ArtVision. You will be able to catch it there, and very soon we will share with you the YouTube links of the 3 days. So Ileana, thank you for letting me be a part of this. Dr. Pande, thank you very much for letting me be a part of this. And it's been a pleasure. Look forward to some future collaborative activities also.
Thank you, Arshiya, for all your contribution and work, and to be able to really put everything together so nicely. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Namaskar.
Namaskar.